Okay, first of all, thank you for your time and your interesting perspective. So I would like to, before I get into my main point, I would like to, ask you a couple of questions. So what are your thoughts on lab cultured meat? I know they are not 100% cruelty free, but what just I want to know.
So lab culture meat, first of all, I like to call it as no-kill meat instead of lab-based meat. I'll tell you why. Because lab-based meat, they think like how you said chemicals. Yeah. Oh, it's just lab-based, it's disgusting. But actually, it's not. It is meat made without killing an animal. So I think when we call it as lab-based meat, we're doing it a disservice. I say it as no-kill meat. Well, no-kill meat, if you ask me, it is something I support because we, again, like you said, we're able to create flesh without actually, we're bypassing the cruelty and the suffering. So I support that. However, as a vegan, I would never eat it because it's not vegan. Anything that comes from animals is not vegan. However, if we can bypass the cruelty, we can bypass the global warming emissions and create flesh and people want to eat that, I personally do not have a problem with it. Okay. It's the suffering, cruelty that I have a problem with. So yeah, that's my opinion.
So let's say, what are your thoughts on eating flesh of animals that naturally die?
Well, first of all, I will not have an ethical problem with that. Like let's say, for example, there's a dead dog on the road, someone decides to go and start eating that. It died through an accident. Again, accidents are accidents. No one can be held responsible for that, unless they were over speeding, obviously. But you go into the forest, you see a dead dog, dead bear, dead elephant, dead deer. Again, is it vegan? The answer is no, but I don't have a problem with you eating an animal that's naturally dead. However, I would ask you not to, because the animal may have died of cancer, some infections, or some other gallbladder disease, and if you were to eat that, it's rotting probably for a few days. We are not, it's called carrion, basically, dead flesh. So we are not hyenas that are designed to eat carrion flesh. I would say from a health perspective, I would say don't do it. But from an ethical perspective, I don't seem to have an issue with that, actually.
Okay, fine. Coming to things like medicines, many of the life-saving medicines are tested on animals. So
right, absolutely.
If we bypass that, I don't think we will have as much
medical
advances as
yes.
we do, right?
See, there are 4 or 5 areas right now that we vegans do not have a solution to. One, like you stated, is testing on animals for medications, because like you said, if let's say someone is sick right now and they don't take medications, they will die. But to make those medications, they have to take tests on animals. Now I can tell that person, hey, be a vegan and die. It's okay. I can't do that. So he has to obviously take medications. Similarly, right now I'm standing in a building that could have been a forest here 100 years ago. So I am now a part of the group of people who have cleared the forest and built a building here. So I don't have a solution for that either. Not to mention if a mosquito bites me or there are pests. If there's one cockroach in my house or one mouse, I can capture it and put it outside. If I own a godown that's as big as this building and I have tons of grains here and there are 10,000 mice, I have to kill them. I can't do anything else at that point to save my grains. So we vegans do not have a solution to these problems. We admitted these problems exist and we don't have a solution to them. But all we ask of people is that just because you can't be perfect everywhere doesn't mean that we should stop being perfect where we can be. Since you are not perfect in what you say, therefore everything you say is wrong. I would ask people please to not have their opinion about me or veganism or anything in your life. Just because right now I live in a non-vegan society. This society is run by non-vegans, not by vegans, right? And in this society, with the options given to me, I'm trying my best to avoid cruelty. Oh yeah, the 4th point was this one. When I even eat rice or dal, to make that rice or dal, a bull or ox could have been used to plow the field. Yeah. I don't have a solution for that either. There are so many stray dogs and cats on the road right now. Me being vegan is not helping them whatsoever. So these 5 places, veganism does not have a solution. But all I can say to you is that in such a situation, if you want to take medicines, please listen to your doctor. Do what your doctor tells you, of course. And I don't have a solution. I have to be honest. I don't know what to do.
Okay, so same goes for pesticides too, right?
Pesticides, well, in one way, we can at least reduce it by going vegan because like I told you, 36% of all crops grown on earth right now are used as animal feed. So at least 36% of usage of pesticides can at least we can decrease that. We can't be perfect. I don't know how to be perfect, but at least we can reduce it.
And you talked about taking B12 supplements, and on the other hand, you also said like humans are mostly herbivores, except for a few exceptions. So don't you think taking supplements it's not very natural per se?
Of course, supplements are not natural. Wearing clothes is not natural. Standing in a building is not natural. Shooting with the camera is also just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. But the thing is, let's say, so we can't say humans are mostly herbivores. We are meant to.
We are omnivores. I 100% agree we are omnivores. Okay. Because obviously in the ancient times, we used to get B12 from eating flesh. Now, before there was one research paper saying that you can get B12 from drinking this water from the well or the spring water. That's been debunked right now, so I don't say that anymore. But you're right. We humans got our B12 from eating animal flesh. But in this modern day and age, through technology, we're able to fabricate B12. B12 is produced through bacteria, microbes, basically.
Yeah, bacteria.
So we're able to get it that way. So yes, a B12 supplementation, however, is mandatory for vegans. We cannot escape that. You're right on that, yes.
So supplements are not as good as taking food from actual food, right?
Well, here you're talking about just one particular vitamin, vitamin B12. It's a water-soluble vitamin, and by taking in one source right now, if let's say for example you became vegan right now and you got no source of B12 at all, okay, you would still be fine for the next 3 years before B12 deficiency began even showing up in your body. Now, is vitamins worse than taking actual food? Are you saying that the body doesn't absorb it properly enough, or what are you exactly?
Bioavailability.
Bioavailability.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a case of B12 deficiency happening because someone took B12 supplements. In fact, right now we even have plenty of non-vegans, if you know, who are B12 deficient. And just for example, the animals that we kill and eat, did you know they're also given B12 supplements? There are a few nutrients right now in our society that the government tries to enforce upon us because they know that they're difficult to get. Iodine is one, or salt is iodized. So if you are saying B12 is wrong, then we should stop iodized salt as well, right? Because that's wrong. Similarly, if you notice, the oils we eat are fortified with vitamin D, because these days we're all sitting in an AC room, not going out and getting sunlight. So fortification of foods is something that's been around for hundreds of years. We're just asking for one more, B12. Apart from that, every other nutrient you can get on a plant-based diet.
Okay. And the last question is plants. So don't you think it also comes under speciesism?
Of course. So here's the thing. If you say plants, discriminating them is speciesism, I will say on paper it is speciesism, but it is not immoral or wrong. See, I tend to give moral value only to those who can feel pain and suffering, those who are conscious and live in this world, who can experience pain, fear, joy, suffering, just like you and me can. Now, we can divide living beings into 5 kingdoms: plant, animal, fungi, protist, and monera. Out of these 5 kingdoms, only the animal kingdom has brains and a nervous system and all the organs necessary to perceive pain and fear and happiness and to suffer or even feel joy in this world. Now, not even all animals suffer. Jellyfish don't have a brain. Clams and oysters don't have a brain. So even these animals are insentient, but plants are completely different. Although they are living, bacteria is alive, plants are alive, they are not the same as animals.
Just because they don't feel the pain or perceive the pain as you and me do, does not mean they don't abstractly or,
No, see,
they don't perceive pain or
No, they do not perceive pain. So what happens is that, first of all, I'll explain to you what pain is. If I can just wrap this up in just 2 minutes. Pain, if you were to hit me right now, there's an electrical impulse passing through my body to my brain. If you were to touch a plant, in certain plants, that same electrical impulse passes. Now, the difference here is that we have on the top of our head something known as a brain. And this impulse reaches our brain. The brain then reacts to it accordingly, and then it secretes a particular chemical. And that chemical is what makes us go, ah, that is pain. The chemical being secreted and us reacting to it is pain. When there is no brain, pain cannot exist. That chemical no longer exists.
That's where I like to differ. No, many plants actually secrete chemicals when they are even when they are free of fear. For example, I forgot the exact article, but when a forest, if I have chance, I'll send it to you. When the forest was cut, the other plants were sending chemicals to signal other plants through the soil that a danger was going on. So which means they are sentient. Just because they don't experience
I will tell you how that works.
We don't experience.
Okay, here's the thing. If we can stay here 5 minutes longer, if it's okay with you guys, can we? I just answer that as well. Thank you. So that happens due to something known as a mycorrhizic connection. That's basically as a type of fungus called mycelium. You would have seen, probably read that, that lives deep in underground in these forests. Now this mycelium connects itself to various plants because what happens is that this mycelium cannot get enough sunlight because it's underground. Plants, however, can get a lot of sunlight. So they connect, symbiotic relation, basically that. So the sunlight from the plant is given to the microbes, but however these fungi can absorb so many nutrients from underneath the earth because they go downward. So they take the minerals and nutrients and give it to the plant. Plant gives them sunlight, symbiosis. Now, this connection can spread throughout the forest. So when one plant there is being eaten, the signal is passed from here along through the mycorrhiza connection and through that plant over there. So that is how these plants are aware. If you want to use the word aware, you can say that they can sense that there is danger happening. But then again, even microscopic organisms react to stimuli. If you were to take a paramecium or an amoeba and put certain things, but reacting to stimuli is not the same as responding to pain. See, a reaction is basically when there is a chemical reaction going on. A response is there is a chemical reaction going on. Along with that, there is an emotional response. There's a someone over there. Because see, think of it this way. If there's sunlight right now falling on my eyes will begin to water up and I will be like, I want to close my eyes, right? Now that is a chemical reaction happening. I cannot stop that. But me choosing to take my hand right now and block my eyes is completely a cognitive thought. A plant cannot do that. So plants can undergo only chemical reactions, but no cognition behind it. Humans and animals have both chemical reactions and cognition. And just to answer you told speciesism, just to answer the last point, say right now here in front of you, I placed an alive human and a dead human, and I was pouring petrol on both of them. And I took a match and told, bro, just tell me onto whom I can put this matchstick. Whom will you say, the alive human or the dead human?
Your call.
Really? Oh, come on, be honest. Who will you say, the alive or the dead one? Whom should I put the matchstick on?
Yeah, it depends on who you have problems with.
Be honest. No, you're making a joke out of it. Be honest right now. Whom should I put it on? Be honest.
Okay, if I have to choose one, I'll choose the dead one. If I have
The dead one. Okay, fine. But don't you agree that dead person is also a person?
Yeah.
Is also a human?
Yeah, but he doesn't even sense pain, nor does he respond to stimuli.
Thank you so much. That's the point.